Right. This one is about communication, bro. Don't expect anyone to understand something you didn't clearly communicate. Don't even use clues, man. You're going to end up disappointed and frustrated by their actions. But the truth is, you never gave them a strict reason not to behave this way. Don't act surprised when, for the fifth time in a row, the thing you never spoke about in detail a second time has repeated. They simply still don't know. We are living in our own version of Earth. Every single one of us. There's like 8 billion versions of Earth, bro. With 8 billion different rule sets. Such niche and specific rule sets. I don't like my shoes in the room. Some people don't mind the shoes in the room, but they have to be on the rack. Some people want the shoes on the rack, but depending on how dirty the shoes are or how intended for outside use the shoes are, they should be at the bottom of the rack instead of the top rack. Look at all these things. I just described like how many different people's rules. If you're living with other people, how do you expect them to know these things? Why would you allow yourself to be annoyed when they don't? You would break one of their rules in a completely different way in their house on this same day. Until you've communicated something clearly, there's no point getting annoyed that it happened. There's absolutely no point. And once you understand that, be careful, because there's another mistake. This doesn't mean that just because you didn't communicate something prior and now the violation has happened, it doesn't mean you have to explain yourself before the consequence. No, sometimes it's actually too late. Sometimes you can, depending on the level of the violation, but sometimes it's too late and you just have to display consequence despite the fact that you will not have time, or you simply cannot afford to start explaining yourself, because there's levels of disrespect in this life that you really have to gauge. You really have to gauge, like, okay, is there even a point? Is there even a point of trying to first explain what this person did wrong? Especially when the person has already told you they would never do that. They communicated to you that they wouldn't do this. You agreed, cool. When that thing is done, if that stuff is, if it's cut off worthy, just cut off. What are you explaining? If the consequence is to cut off, why are you talking first? It doesn't make sense. That just means you're in between. You're in some case. You're not sure if it's cut off worthy. The second it is, just do that. Like, it doesn't mean you owe an explanation post problem. Honestly, that's not what it means. What I'm saying is, put in effort to explain things, especially the little things, bro. Even the big things, explain these things, so that when they happen, you don't get so frustrated, because it's just logic. What did you expect? Why are you expecting people to understand what you never said? You think one hand gesture or your lip twitching when you said that's fine, you think they read that? They're not Sherlock Holmes, bro. They don't think you have an issue with this thing. They're going to do it again. They're going to invite their friends and tell them that it's fine. So that thing's going to happen 7 times instead of 1. Then you'll jump out of your window and die for no reason. You should have just communicated. But now that some crazy stuff has happened, you do not have to explain anything. If what has happened is insane, there is no need for an explanation, bro. You just need to move, especially when the person who did this to you doesn't even hold much utility to you. Honestly speaking, don't waste your time anymore, bro. There's some violations you just have to, okay, fine, let that go. Glitch. Consequence must be laid out. Must be laid out. You don't teach someone the law after they break it. That's not really how it's supposed to happen. I'm sorry, they just get jail time. They just see what happens. They just see it and learn from that. You understand? So it's not your responsibility to now teach them this is wrong. Then after what, that's you giving them a second chance, bro. If what has happened is not worth a second chance, then you're not going to read them the Constitution first. That's going to make you look like you're begging. You're begging it. Nope. So yeah, communication and consequences.